Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a massive shift that is fundamentally transforming how modern businesses handle their online presence. We're talking about building incredibly fast, highly professional WordPress websites. If you've ever felt the absolute frustration of a sluggish site or messy, confusing backend, well, you're definitely in the right place. Today, we're exploring the 5 biggest reasons businesses are increasingly choosing to outsource their development to Oxygen Builder specialists like the team at Viral Chili.
But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Have you ever just stared at your screen, literally pulling your hair out, asking yourself, why on earth do my Core Web Vital scores flat out refuse to budge? I mean, building a nice-looking WordPress site sounds super straightforward on paper, right? Well, that is until you find yourself knee-deep in unpredictable plugin conflicts, bloated templates, and a back-end that feels like it's held together by digital duct tape. It's a universal pain for any business trying to scale.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover 1, the WordPress bottleneck, 2, the Oxygen specialist advantage, 3, unleashing true website performance, 4, scalability without the bloat, 5, long-term cost efficiency, and finally, 6, is Oxygen right for you? Let's dive in. All right, part 1, the WordPress bottleneck. You know, for a lot of growing businesses, the answer to a painfully slow website isn't just trying harder with the exact same generalist tools. Why? Because those tools themselves are usually the bottleneck. Under the hood, this looks like deep plugin conflicts, bloated template designs, and heavy standard page builders that just generate layers upon layers of unnecessary code. When you rely on a fragile third-party plugin stack, your site gets dragged down in ways that simple caching plugins or CDN configurations literally cannot fix. You're basically putting a Band-Aid on a broken foundation. Which brings us to part 2, the Oxygen specialist advantage. Businesses are finally wising up and moving away from those generic in-house builds. Take a look at the 2 approaches here. On the left, your typical drag-and-drop approach is fast to learn, sure, but it forces you to rely on heavy plugins and severely limits what you can technically do. Now, on the right, we have the Oxygen specialist. Oxygen Builder actually has a pretty steep learning curve, but it heavily rewards deep familiarity. So by outsourcing to dedicated specialists like the experts over at Viral Chili, who have spent hundreds of hours mastering the platform, you get faster output, vastly cleaner code bases, and you prevent all that incredibly costly post-launch firefighting. Moving on to part 3, unleashing true website performance. So what does having that ultra-clean codebase actually do for you? Well, we really need to shift our focus to the commercial impact here, because performance is arguably the absolute most commercially important property of a modern website. I absolutely love this quote from our source material. No bloat, no redundant wrappers. It perfectly captures the essence of Oxygen Builder. Think about it. When site speed directly impacts your search engine rankings, your bounce rates, and ultimately your bottom line revenue, you really cannot afford any digital bloat. Oxygen generates only the exact HTML and CSS your site actually needs. That's it. There are no unused scripts just sitting there loading in the background on every single page. By teaming up with agencies like Viral Chili, who know exactly how to build this foundation properly, your site will consistently and dramatically outpace those heavier traditional builds. For a business, you have to understand this isn't just a fun technical upgrade, it's a massive performance gap that you simply cannot ignore if you want to stay competitive. Okay, part 4. Scalability without the bloat. Sure, a website might work perfectly fine on launch day, but the real test is what happens when your digital footprint inevitably needs to expand. Let's trace a typical growth trajectory. Step 1, you launch a solid, tight 10-page site. Great. Step 2, you expand to 100 pages. Step 3, you introduce complex, heavy functionality like a WooCommerce store or a custom membership portal. With traditional builds, what felt totally solid at 10 pages starts to completely buckle at 100. Performance crashes and making changes becomes wildly expensive. But Oxygen specialists design architecturally from day one, using logical template hierarchies, so that exact same growth trajectory is totally smooth, handled natively, and definitely doesn't require a full, costly rebuild. How is this scalability possible? Well, it's because Oxygen handles so many of those complex features natively. It drastically reduces your reliance on third-party add-ons. Think about the classic 5 plugin stack people use just to handle sliders, forms, and custom fields. It's a nightmare because every single plugin update is a potential conflict just waiting to happen. By eliminating that dependency, you experience drastically fewer compatibility issues and virtually eliminate all that unexpected, annoying site downtime. It just creates a much leaner, far more stable setup. Let's talk numbers in part 5, long-term cost efficiency. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Specialists sound expensive, right? And yes, when you hire a dedicated agency of Oxygen specialists like Viral Chili, it can indeed feel like a premium upfront investment compared to just hiring some freelance generalist. However, the long-term economics strongly favor specialization. Sites that are built properly require way less ongoing maintenance, fewer hours spent agonizing over plugin conflicts, and absolutely $0 spent trying to artificially speed up a fundamentally slow site. Businesses consistently find that their true total cost of ownership over an 18 to 24-month period is actually definitively lower than if they had tried to patch up a cheaper generalist build. Finally, part 6. Is Oxygen right for you? Let's do a quick, rapid-fire FAQ to clear up any lingering questions. First up, how do you know if your specific project is actually a good fit for Oxygen Builder? Honestly, it's incredibly versatile. It is an absolute game changer for professional business sites, WooCommerce stores, membership platforms, and custom web apps. Basically, if your project prioritizes top-tier performance, exact design precision, and true long-term scalability, Oxygen is an exceptional fit. Okay, next question. This is a big one for established businesses. Can an agency safely migrate my existing WordPress site? Because obviously nobody wants to lose their hard-earned digital footprint. The answer is a massive, resounding yes. Experienced Oxygen agencies like Viral Chili literally handle migrations all the time. A proper migration plan means they rebuild the design natively in Oxygen while entirely preserving all of your existing content. Crucially, it maintains all your hard-earned SEO settings and keeps your existing URL structures completely intact, which minimizes your risk and totally avoids unnecessary downtime. And the last super pragmatic question: will I actually be able to update the site myself after it launches? Because no business owner wants to call up a developer just to change a single comma or swap out a team photo. You absolutely can. A good specialist agency like Viral Chili structures the whole site with your content management in mind. It's built specifically so that non-technical users can easily and seamlessly update copy, images, and standard content. And best of all, it's set up in a way that strictly protects the core design. So you literally cannot accidentally break the layout while publishing a new blog post. You remain fully empowered to run your site. So that brings us to our final thoughts, and it's something I really want you to ask yourself. Is your website a reliable asset, or is it a recurring problem? Outsourcing to Oxygen Builder specialists isn't just about getting a site built. It's about getting it built the right way, from the ground up, with the right foundation. It literally transforms your online presence from a source of constant firefighting into a lean, scalable, high-performing business asset. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and we will catch you on the next one.